Michael Morone, Massimo. So I watched this movie called 365 Days because it was everywhere. The edits were everywhere. What can I say? It's funny. Now, there's been a lot of comparison between 365 Days and 50 Shades of Grey, and let me tell you, those movies are completely different, okay? Because 365 Days is like, what? A multimillionaire mafia boss kidnaps a girl until she falls in love with him. And 50 Shades is a millionaire stalks a girl until she falls in love with him. Totally different stories. So the movie begins with Massimo, his father, his people having a meeting with another set of mafias, and I think it has to do something with human trafficking because they're talking about young girls, and his father says, no, we don't do that, we'll never do that, we'll not support you. So I think, and this aspect of Massimo's business, that they are not into human trafficking, is again emphasized later on, where he's punishing another person who participated. So I think the directors and the storyline, they tried to create a moral ground for Massimo, that he sells drugs and all that, but he's a nice person because he's against human trafficking. Any decent person would be against human trafficking. The fuck? And he's in the same scene, he's looking out the balcony, the terrace, through his binoculars, and this girl is on this beach dancing or whatever, and we find out later that is our female protagonist, Laura. Immediately, when Massimo and his father have a conversation that this business is about to be his and everything, and yeah, he gets shot right after that dialogue, which is kind of funny, but I will not laugh because someone just died. I will not laugh. Fast forward to 5 years later, and what happens? We see Massimo and Laura in these two lonely lives. They try to set up a parallel that they're both really good at their jobs and everything. And can I just say, the scene is so confusing. It took me a few minutes to understand that these were two separate places. Massimo is in a separate meeting, and Laura is in a separate movie. I thought it was the same meeting because the setup and everything was so similar. It took me minutes to understand that these are parallels. They're trying to set up parallels. What garbage?
You look at this and tell me this is not the same meeting.
So Laura's storyline is she's in this relationship which is kind of loveless, and she's not getting enough sex, and Massimo is just going home in his private jet. Laura, her side of the story kind of makes sense because when she gets home, she tells her boyfriend that she wants to get it on, but her boyfriend just completely ignores her, so she's lonely. And what does she do? She uses vibrator to pleasure herself, which is fine. And Massimo also uses another object of pleasure, a woman. And this scene is so infuriating and confusing. He goes and asks his air hostess on his private plane to give him a will this be taken down? I can't say the words. I don't know. It's not he'll make enough money. Massimo's is just weird, okay? He's in a private plane. Nothing has happened. He goes to his air hostess person, and it makes no sense, okay? Because at that point, the story is kind of established, they're both lonely. But he's not lonely at that point. He has a girlfriend, which we find out much later that he broke up with her on the very same day. So go home to your girlfriend and do all that. Why a strange? And the air hostess, the woman who plays her, is such a bad actress. there's a shot after everything is done, like she goes to the washroom and she smiles. I can't tell if that is the smile of like, oh well, good, I just blew like a mafia boss, or oh my god, I just got assaulted, I'm in trauma. Like, this is why we need good actors, because I can't tell whether it was sexual assault, whether he forced her, whether she was into it. Anyway, moving on. So, Laura ends up in Sicily, where Massimo lives. Surprise, surprise. To celebrate her birthday, and then they go out for dinner and everything. This, let me tell you, one of the funniest scenes. I love. Good job. One of the funniest scenes of the movie is when Massimo first meets Laura, and this is how it goes.
Are you lost, baby girl?
Okay, so next day, it's her birthday, and she has a fight with her boyfriend, who we find out later is cheating on her. Very bad. So she just goes around roaming, wandering in this strange place where she's never been at night. Then she gets kidnapped, very rightly so. You don't wander around at night in like a place you've never been to. What is wrong with you? Huh? After getting kidnapped, she wakes up in a mysterious room, and then she goes around the castle trying to figure out what's happening. I mean, I guess she was trying to run away, but I couldn't tell because the actress couldn't act that well. So, I don't know. And then she comes across this portrait of her, a massive portrait, and Massimo's at the back saying,
Are you lost, baby girl?
oh, cringe every time I think of that line. So then a very bad, weird fight or whatever occurs between Massimo and Laura, where there is an exchange of very badly written dialogues. And Massimo tells her that when he was dying, she kind of came in front of him as an image, a hallucination. I don't know. And so he's been looking for her for 5 years. Questions. I mean, maybe it happened because she was the last person he saw. No, but that was his father. Anyway, questions. So how did they draw that portrait of hers? Because her image was just in Massimo's mind, huh? So how did it do that? Is it because Massimo is like such a good communicator that the painter just kind of drew her? What? She tries to run away again, but Massimo kills someone in front of her, and she has a weak heart, which they keep talking about. We don't know what exactly is the problem, but they just say she has a weak heart, so she faints.
Bruh, this like the second day. Why is she so relaxed? What?
So anyway, they go for shopping, and he very creepily enters a dressing room. Is that supposed to be sexy? Is like non-consent supposed to be sexy? There is no consent here. She's kidnapped. She's not in love with you. She's kidnapped. So he chokes her, and he's like, I'm not gonna touch you, but you are touching her. He's always touching her, and he's like, I'm not gonna touch you. I mean, I guess he just means like he's not gonna initiate anything like further, like sex or something. Because respect and consent only matters when it's someone you like. Because he's such a nice, such a gentleman. He likes that girl, so he's waiting for her consent. But the air hostess, who gives a shit? She's a random stranger, right? After the shopping montage, Laura tries to run away in a very weird and slow motion fashion. Yeah. She's not even trying. He kind of catches her. She gets a phone and laptop, and guess what she does?
Mamo. Tak, wszystko w porządku. Muszę ci coś powiedzieć.
Bitch, are you dumb? Like, this is only the second day. I don't think Stockholm Syndrome also works so fast. Like, are you dumb? then they go around and there's like weird scenes. They're sort of like they try to establish this cat and mouse game between Laura and Massimo where they're like teasing each other, edging each other. That's just the first 30 to 40 minutes and it's boring as hell. Also, there's this scene.
He touched her. He touched the seat. And then he goes and touches his friend.
I want to talk about the shower scene. Okay, it's hilarious. Okay, I was laughing so much when I saw this scene. It's supposed to be sexy, but it raised so many questions in my mind. And I was just like, what? So basically, this is like the third or fourth day, and Laura and Massimo are sleeping on the same bed. Because why not? And then she goes to the shower, and her washroom is like glass. There is no wall. And the first thing in my mind was like, okay, if it's see-through, what if she has to take a shit? Then what? Like, that's not sexy, watching someone take a shit. Do directors never think of these things? And Massimo follows her, they're both naked, supposed to be sexy, and she's just staring at it. Oh my god, she just continuously stares at it. And it's just so funny, and I was laughing so much when I watched this scene because this is not sexy, it's just funny. Okay, he goes up to her, and this is the funniest dialogue after "I lost baby girl." Are you gonna look at it, or will you do something about it?
There's also this scene where she comes to his room in a bathrobe. Why? We don't know.
It's a weird scene. I don't know what to say about that scene. And he tells Laura to take it in, and she's like, no, absolutely not. And then he ties her up, and he tells her, I'm gonna show you what you're missing. Why would she be missing? And then he brings up another person, another girl, and she takes it in and does the job. Why would she be missing that when she has to do all the work? Why? Does it make sense to you, Massimo? After she unties her and all, and then they go to the club, and she should be traumatized as any normal person would have been, but she was not traumatized. Instead, they go to a club, and she dresses up in this really short dress, and she's like, I'm gonna show him and make him jealous. Bitch, what the fuck? In the club, she's like flirting with other people, and one of them, who is Massimo's business partner, gets really rapey, like Massimo. And then Massimo draws two guns, and then the next morning they have a fight. Massimo's very close person, I think his name is Mario, I think so. They kind of argue where Mario is like, you have to get rid of her and everything, and then Massimo and this is the next day, by the way, and Massimo and Laura also have a fight about it because she comes to apologize, and he's like, you're sorry, it was your fault, you were wearing short clothes, it's your fault. And he calls her a whore and slut shames her and blames her, and she's like, excuse me, finally some sense, but that also goes away very fast, so it's okay. And then this scene, they have a fight and she falls off the board. It is so funny. It is funny. I was laughing. It was funny. Okay, after that, she kind of gets up and she's like, oh, you saved my life. And yeah, they have sex for 3 minutes. 3 whole minutes. The whole song. One question that came out to my mind was, since they were doing it everywhere, what happened to Mario? What happened to the old man? Because he was on the boat. Is he watching them? Did he jump off the boat because he couldn't take it anymore? Also, made me realize how single I am. So, yeah. After the boat scene, they're supposed to go to a ball, and there's another shopping kind of thing. There is so much shopping. yeah, they go to a ball, and then they meet Massimo's ex, Anna. Okay, she's a bad bitch, and she meets him and Laura, and they find out that they broke up. He broke it off with her the day he met. He didn't meet. He saw Laura, and she knew everything about this woman who Massimo was looking for. But yeah, and then she's like, I'm gonna kill this bitch. I'm gonna kill this tiny ass bitch. So yeah, that was the ball.
Then she gets shipped to Warsaw for protection, and then Massimo comes and joins her in a few days.
Okay, so we don't get, when he comes back to Warsaw, we don't get any explanation as to where he's been, what he's been doing. All we get is why Laura is so upset and angry at him. Like, he did that to protect you, girl. Then he asks her to marry him in the morning. She says yes, and then she realizes he's already put a ring in her finger because he just can't wait for actual consent. They go back to Warsaw. She finds out she's pregnant. Then she calls her best friend. Another shopping montage. And then at the end, she's about to get killed. Okay, and this guy Mario, again, he's the one who finds out about it, and he runs towards Massimo to warn him, but
Just look at his body language, okay? He's like, EDs, what EDs?
and can I just say, it took 2 hours and the female protagonist to die for our male protagonist to show some emotions. I was like, it took 2 hours. This movie was such a shitstorm. Like, it was garbage, but it was funny garbage. Okay, it was sexy garbage. At least, I mean, nobody's going to watch this movie for the story. I know it. So you can skip the first 30-40 minutes actually.